Good afternoon, everybody. Glad to see you back again. So, today we have with us Pauline Raphaela. She is the founder of Living Limitless Courses for Evolution, where she helps others empower their body, mind, and soul. With over 25 years of experience, she's guided clients of all ages through healing and spiritual awakening. Pauline is a master healer, ascension guide, and clairvoyant. Did I get that right? Because it's known for working with galactic energies to raise human consciousness. Oh, I like that one. We're going to have to talk about that one. She holds
Okay.
certifications in thought field therapy, Reiki, herbalism, and light body healing, and has a PhD in metaphysics. So, welcome, Pauline.
Oh, thank you so much for that, Tammy. My pleasure to be here.
Yes, absolutely. So behind every coach, healer, therapist, there's always a story because we don't just wake up, it seems like everybody has a more profound story when they're in that kind of niche of healing. So talk a little bit about when this started and when you had this drive to do all this stuff that you do, which is a lot of stuff.
It is a lot of stuff. Oh, I had no idea this was God's plan for me. Okay, let me first say that everyone has been programmed with some kind of incredible, magnificent divine plan. So how do we unlock that, right? How do we know what it is? Well, it usually starts with crisis. It usually starts with the things that we don't like, the things that are meant to, as I say, shake us up and wake us up. And so, mine started with the death of my father. And then shortly after that, with a second divorce. And then shortly after that, chronic illness. And so, and this was actually the divine plan unfolding, although at the time I didn't know. It was just crisis after trauma after crisis. And I remember sort of bargaining with God. I bargained with God to keep my father alive as long as possible because he had been given a diagnosis of 6 months to 2 years. And I said to God, please give me the maximum amount of time and like I'll do anything, I'll do anything. So I didn't really know God heard that and was going to hold me to it because my dad lived for 2 years, like to the day. It was really miraculous. And it was shortly after that that my entire life began to change. And so I got divorced and I was working in property management and I was laid off from my job and I was like, what am I doing? Where am I going? And it was then that I was actually taken to heaven to meet my father in a dream. I did not cross over. It was not a near-death
That's what I
experience.
was wondering.
Yes, it was not. It was an out-of-body experience, but I was taken to heaven and I saw my father. And I went to reach him. I remember the dream was clear. It was clear of a clairvoyant dream, a lucid dream. So it was really happening on the higher planes. And I went to touch him and I couldn't. There was a barrier. So I was still on the earth. I was still humanly alive while he wasn't. And he gave me messages and he said to me, you have to go back to school. You have to go back to school and you have to finish your degree.
Mm.
And so I did that and ended up moving in with someone at the time as I was going back to school. And I was climbing the ladder to become a global human resource person. That was my dream. But I still had a lot of illness. And this person that I was living with and was together for a very long time, we went to a black tie affair. And there was a woman there who was a healer. And I didn't know that these people actually existed. But we had gone to see a movie, and I'm now going to date myself a little bit now, back in the day, where there was a movie called My Life with Michael Keaton, and Michael Keaton has cancer, and he's laying on the table, and he goes to see all these shaman healer types, and he's laying on the table, and there's an Asian man running his hands like this around him. And I saw that, and I said, I don't know what that is, but that's what I need to heal me. Now, this was in 1992,
Mm.
and lo and behold, there was that moving hands around kind of healer person at this black tie affair sitting at the same table as us. And I began a conversation with her. And so she was the person who introduced me to energy healing because that's what healed me. I was not healed by the medical community. I was healed by energy healing. And what was it? Stuffed down emotions and crises that had been unresolved for however long they were still stuck within me, right?
Yeah,
They
I
were
was going to ask you if the chronic, when you said chronic illness, I immediately went right to just the inflammation, the joint pain, like all of the stuff that people that dealt with chronic stress experience now. And that's a lot of the people that I deal with.
Yeah,
They
and it's true. Chronic fatigue syndrome, chronic bronchitis, digestive disturbances. It was all these unresolved emotions and experiences that I had in my life. But we don't think to stop and resolve it. Maybe now we understand that we do, but back then we didn't. We just pushed ahead and forged ahead, right?
mm-hmm.
Carrying all our baggage with us.
Yep,
And it
and
gets heavy.
putting a band-aid on the illnesses and taking lots of Tums and yeah, I get it.
Yep, exactly. All of that. And so this energy healer helped me tremendously. And and as I was sort of back in school and then climbing the ladder to become this human resource professional that I wanted to be, I started to have mystical experiences. And God spoke to me and said to me, quit your job. And I said, quit my job. And it took a couple of weeks, but the voice came in very, very, very strong. And then I began to have experiences with spirit guides. There was a guide that sort of came in the middle of the night and sort of stood right at the edge of my bed and gave me another message. And so it just began to happen. And I think the only reason I wasn't freaked out by it was because I always believed in reincarnation and ghosts, spirits kind of thing.
hmm
But I never expected anything like this to begin to happen to me. But what I believe was happening was I was being rerouted into a completely different career. And that was the bargain that I didn't know I had set up with God so long ago. He kept my father alive for 2 years, and now it was my turn to do what I was being asked to do. And it was to quit, it was to get out of corporate America. And I loved it. I loved what I was so good at what I did. And I began studying herbal medicine. And I was learning about energy work because this healer was helping me. So it was just this one step after another. It just began unfolding. And you couldn't have a plan for this.
No.
There was no plan. You could not, even back then, even now, you can't have a plan for it. It just begins to happen when you're being called.
Right. And I always say that it's your intuition, you have it, you're getting these messages, stop and listen to them. Stop, it's like because so many people don't. They just tune them out, forget they did hear them. And there's this nagging. I have so many people that say to me, I just have this nagging, like I'm supposed to be doing something more. And I'm like, then listen to what it's telling you.
Yes.
Like if you actually stop, slow down and listen, you will get a message somehow, some way.
And that is absolutely true because I know more and more people have been called over the decades because this is now going back to the late 1990s. So I'm going back. So I've been a pioneer of this for over 30 years. And so you start listening. But for me, and it's not that I was such a great listener of all of this back then, but it was so strong. I couldn't change it if I wanted to. And I did resist it for a bit because it didn't make any sense. And it was like, who leaves corporate America? Just starting to work your way up the ladder there. You got $150,000 a year salary on your mind, and all of a sudden you're rerouted. And so it happens, and more and more people are being called, and we do. We have to listen because we're all a little clairaudient. We've got our intuition, our higher selves, our spirit guides, whatever you want to believe. We're getting messages. We're being guided. We have to follow.
Yep. And it's, I feel like we're in a day and age or an era or whatever you want to call it, where it's okay to listen to those messages. So, like you said, back in the 90s, it was like poo poo. This is what you do. This is the path. I fight with people all the time. I'm like, if you don't love it and it doesn't light you up, don't do it.
Right.
Because, and everybody, I've had so many people say, my mom expected me to be a doctor. So I went through med school and I was a doctor. And then here I am. I mean, I look at my niece. She's a beautiful, amazingly intelligent woman. And she went to pre-med because she was so smart. She skipped 3 grades and all this other stuff. And you know what she's doing now? She's an amazingly talented tattoo artist.
Oh my goodness. See, so we had that passion is in us. And I tell you, we cannot logically figure it out. We've got to kind of follow it, follow the urges, the desires, and see where we end up, where we're brought to, because we're going to be brought to something that is our passion, something that we truly enjoy doing and get a lot of satisfaction out of. Yeah.
Right. And like you said, do something that's in alignment with what you love, because if you're not happy. I just recorded an episode this morning, and it's basically the 8 ways to know if you're stuck and 3 ways to get unstuck.
Okay.
Because I did an episode with a lady, and her motto is stuck sucks. And it's about getting stuck in where everybody else in life throws you, and you just don't have the whatever it is, whether it's the will or the want or the need to get out of that. But
Yeah.
so tell me about when you went to the energy healer. So was it Reiki? What was your experience with that?
She she was at the time not a Reiki healer. There was another form of energy healing that she used called health kinesiology, and
Mhm.
she was it was muscle testing and it was working, but you muscle test the body and find out and discover what the psychological corrections are, what's going on in the psyche, what's going on in the subconscious, where is the body brain disconnected, right? And it's all emotional and mental and psychological. And so that was it. I mean, my first session with her, I knew I had to be there. It was wonderful. And I was laying there, and she's up put and she's tapping on my thing, she's tapping on my wrist, and I'm thinking, what the heck is she doing? She's tapping here, and my arm's going up and down, and she's communicating with my body. And then she says to me, "Are your parents alive?" And well, of course, one of my parents wasn't. This was maybe 5 years after my dad died, and the tears just kept coming. And from that opened up, you know, the first divorce and what happened there. And then you start just going back into childhood. And so, or even past life. And so that's what the sessions consisted of. And each time I was physically getting better and better. My illnesses were disappearing.
Because you were unlocking and you were releasing things from your body that were so stuck. That's so crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah. And I became very aware of, wow, this stuff that we don't want to think about, that we think is in the past, it's gone. If there's enough of it and it's still unresolved, it's still hanging out in the energy bodies or in the physical body, and it's causing some issues.
Oh yeah. And it reminds me, you've read the book The Body Code or The Emotion Code. It's the
Yeah.
same thing. It's like everything, and literally you can learn how to muscle test yourself
Yes.
just for different things. And
Yeah.
um and it seems like such a complicated, like, got to spend these thousands of dollars and blah blah blah, but literally you can get to the root of things yourself by just muscle testing. And a lot of people do it on the arm. A lot of people just do the sway, where you just ask yourself a question, um and you can just say, stand there and ask yourself, am I happy with this? And if
Right.
you are not, you're going to by default lean back, and if you
Yeah.
are, you're going to lean forward. And it's just yes or no questions. And it's so crazy. I do it with supplements. I hold a different supplement up to myself, and it's
Hmm.
just like, does this do the best good for my body? And there are times where, whoop, I'm like, whoop, and I'm like,
Yeah.
nope, not that one.
Right.
Um, yeah, it's really an interesting thing. If you're out there listening and you've never heard of muscle testing, look it up on YouTube or whatever, because there's a lot of things that you can just quickly test yourself as to where you're sitting. And there's two books that I always suggest to people, and the emotion code and the body code, that kind of walk you through the process.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, well, our body is not just flesh and bones. It's a living being. It's a consciousness. We do have something that is called an inner healer, right? And your soul, your spirit. Without the essence of life force energy, which is your soul, your physical body can't be alive unless it's plugged into a machine. So getting in tuned with that, then your intuition starts to tell you even yes, and you can muscle test and your intuition just by following your gut. Is this right for me? You get that little knot in your gut, and or is this right for me? And you kind of get that like happy feeling, and it's tuning into the feelings because the body speaks to us like that.
yes. And the body is, like I always like to say to people, the body is your truth. You
The
can't
body,
hide something
yeah,
from your body. If something feels cringy, somebody walks by you and looks at you funny and you get a clench in your back, that's not something that you thought about. It's literally something that did because your body knows. Like you said,
right.
it's your spirit, it's your whatever you want to call it, your essence, your universal energy, whatever,
Whatever
it's
you want
all
to call
there.
it. Yeah, intuition, it's all there. So there is that higher, that wisdom, we'll call it, right? A higher wisdom that everybody has. Everyone has, and everybody can develop it. And that's definitely something that I am an advocate of.
So you've been really diving deep into the energy healing, since I know you said you were an herbal, like you did the herbal medicine, you did the Reiki, you did talk about all the different modalities you kind of use with people.
Yeah, well, it started with herbal medicine because that's how it started for me. I was a sort of a self-taught herbalist, and I was reading up on it. And then energy medicine came into it. So I studied health kinesiology, and then I became a Reiki master. Somewhere along the line, I studied thought field therapy, which is in the early days, it's tapping. Okay, so it's
Okay.
it's a lot of tapping and understanding the thought field, how one thought leads to an emotion, leads to a thought, leads to an emotion, and it brings you somewhere, or it brings you back to somewhere, and tapping, okay, to open up the energies, to release them. So I became certified in that. I studied light body since 2001. I have all kinds of certifications there. And then I studied metaphysics. I became a metaphysical doctor. I have a PhD in that. And now I put it all together and I can't tell you what I call it. It's my own system. I developed my own brain balancing system. Um, uh, and and then there's the galactic piece. That's something else. But these are all the modalities that I use, and then some of the higher frequencies, like the galactic ones, they just come in. They
So,
come in. They come in because I was taken to Pleiades. I was taken to the star Pleiades. So many, many years ago. So I knew that that was my soul origin. And since then, I was very connected to the galactic beings of Pleiades. So they come in and do all kinds of things in the healing room. It's really quite fascinating.
I mean, it sounds, I'm more and more intrigued by it every day, because it's like you pick up one book and then it's like snowballs into this and that. And there's just always something. I know when I was having, like, I just started having neck and back pain and some degenerative disc things that are just very hereditary. And so I got certified in Reiki just for nothing else, that when my pain was at a 9, I could bring it down to a 2 or a 3,
Yes.
just for
Oh,
myself.
I'm a big advocate of everyone learning Reiki, even if you're not planning to be a Reiki practitioner or anything, but there's a lot of self-help tools with Reiki that are beneficial that you can just work on yourself and help yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I loved it. I use it all the time. And it's like
Good.
my dog, when her little hips hurt when she's sleeping, I just kind of do, I practice on her. I mean, I don't want to say practice like a guinea pig, but it's just, it's energy. So
Yeah,
talk a little bit more about that,
yeah. Well,
being
the
that you
animals love
specialize in
the
it.
energy. Yes, the animals love the energy
Oh, yeah.
because they're more in tune to it than we are, right? They have a much stronger sixth sense. So yeah, we are energy. Our soul is life force energy. There is also physical energy, the human body. And we have to work with energy in order to release, unblock, and completely heal the physical, mental, and emotional bodies. Okay. So, energy is not something that you can see. You can feel it. Now, you would know learning Reiki, when you open up the Reiki energy, your hands start to get hot, right?
Right.
So you can feel energy, right? You can sense energy, you can feel it. Some of us with very open third eyes can see it. But most people just they can feel it. And we have energy bodies. Okay, here's the physical body. Right on top of that is the etheric body, which is your soul's blueprint, carries memory from every lifetime. And then we have an emotional body, a mental body, an intuitive body, a celestial body. We have all these energy bodies, and this is where thoughts and feelings and traumas and even something that happened in the womb or a past life. This is where all those darker energies hang out. And that's why we need to keep clearing these energy bodies. That's evolution.
Yeah.
We're learning about this. We need to understand this because that's evolution. Imagine what it would be to have a completely clear physical, mental, emotional, etheric, celestial body, astral body. We would be light beings.
Right.
We'd be light beings, which in our true nature we are. In our true nature we are.
Right.
So, the study of energy is fascinating.
It really is. Like I said, I've been reading more and more and more, and it's like obsessive because it keeps going, and it makes common sense, and
It does.
I'm loving it. It just makes sense. And I
It
love
does.
it that they now are bringing science. I mean, it didn't used to be like it was either there was science and then there was the poo poo stuff, the whatever they want to call it, the woo woo stuff. And it's all meshing together now, and they can't
Yes.
deny it. And that's what I love.
Yes, you can't deny it. That which is unseen is real.
Right.
Okay. Your vibrations and your feelings of whether a supplement is good or not, you can't see that, but you can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
When you meet someone who's not like a vibrational match, or this person is not right for you, you get the gut feeling. No, that person's not really, my type, or I'm really not, I don't feel right about that person, or I love this person. You can't see that, but you can feel it, and that's energy.
Yes. And that's where I think we need to really tune into our intuition, because that's your truth versus I was told to do this, or I was told this is what I believe, because then you're literally acting so out of alignment with who you really are and what your energy is. I say that all the time. I literally can walk into a room and be like, whoa, this energy is bad.
Yeah, right, right. Because we're also very sentient beings, right? So we can feel energy. We're doing it without even understanding we're doing it.
Yeah.
You walk into a room, right? Or you walk into a restaurant, a bar, you walk into a party, you meet people, you get a sense. We're doing this since we're children.
Mm-hmm.
And children are still so pure, Mommy, I don't like that person. I don't like that person. Oh no, she's a very nice lady, or she's a very nice, and the little boy says, I don't like that. They're intuitively already using their intuition. Intuitively, they know.
Yep. And they're repelled against it. They're repelling it. And yes. And that's why I say too, don't force kids. It's like that beginning. I picture, going to this one uncle's house that I absolutely couldn't stand. And I was like, oh, give him a hug, give him a hug. And I was like, for whatever reason, I hugged every other uncle I had, but this one I couldn't do it. And I can remember
Right.
getting in so much trouble. And I was like, I don't know why I don't like him. I just don't want to touch him. Well,
Yeah.
come to find out, he wasn't a good man.
Okay. So on some level, as a child, you
Hmm.
already knew that. You couldn't explain how or why, but you knew. Exactly. This is our intuition. This is energy.
Absolutely. So, talk to the listeners who don't know anything about this whole, like, what are some ways you can start to really kind of be in tuned with this?
So
Obviously, in layman's terms, because this is all
yes,
complicated.
Yes, in layman's terms. No, beginning to develop your intuition. The first thing you have to do is know that you have intuition. Okay. No, there's not somebody else who's highly intuitive and psychic and you're not. No, you are. Everybody is. We all have an intuitional body out here. And what you want to do is you want to start listening to the little subtle voice. Okay. Start asking the voice. When I first started, I would say, "When is a good time to go to the grocery store? Because I don't want to wait online." And I would, and I get this feeling, go at 2 o'clock. Okay, I go at 2 o'clock. There's no lines because I hated standing on lines. So start to play around with it. Start to acknowledge that you have it. Start to ask yourself, or you could say my higher self, my wise self, okay, a question that you want an answer to. And then it's very important to get quiet and just see if you can sort of wait for an answer or maybe just get a sense or a feeling. Don't worry if you can't. That answer will come in signs, okay? You might see it on a license plate. You might be asking yourself, should I do this? Should I do that? And you come across a license plate that says, go for it, right? So we hear it in commercials, we hear it from people. So start paying attention to these signs. This is your intuition, all right? And the more that you acknowledge it, the stronger it gets. Now, one of the things I teach people a lot is to start to get into your feeling space. Get into your feeling space. If you get into your feeling space just by yourself, if I get into this and I say, my name is Jack Robbins. Well, every part of me is going, no, it's not. It's going,
Right?
no, right? Because it's not the truth. But my name is Pauline Raphaela. Oh, yeah. There's a sense of rightness. It feels uplifting. It feels good. That is an exercise that everybody can start to do to acknowledge your intuition and what's truthful for you and what's not.
Mm, yeah, that's a good tip. I mean, that's a good starting point because that's what and like you said, the more you exercise it and the more you accept it as truth versus fighting it and resisting it, the more it's
Right.
going to open up to you.
Right. It's going to start with feelings first, more than anything. So start paying attention to your feelings. What are my feelings telling me? What are my feelings? What am I feeling? Is that positive or negative? Is it a yes? It is a no. Start paying attention to your feelings because I guarantee it's already happening. You're just not paying enough attention to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I loved when I was learning how to do the muscle testing, how they had you stand there and you didn't even have to think like my name is Tammy and you go forward or back, but it was just like you'd say things like war, your body naturally, like it just
Right.
gets this ooh feeling,
Right.
you know.
There's a negative energy associated with the word war. Exactly, exactly. So you want to repel that. That's a no. That's a negative. Yeah. So that's a good way to start. And of course, you can start to learn to open up your third eye, your pineal gland. Okay, the sixth energy center called the third eye. This is our psychic center. This is our intuitive center. And one of the things you can do is tap it, tap, hold, tap, hold. It's like a little activation. Tap, 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 hold. Just like do that the way you would do any other little exercise during the day for a minute. Okay, so it begins to activate this energy center.
Yeah. We need to, I mean, it's like I said, I'm fascinated. I was just so excited to have you on here because it's just you've been doing it for 20 years. I've been super excited about it for a year. Like just
But
learning.
there's a lot of people waking up and learning, and I think it's great. I mean, so I started back then. I'm considered a pioneer, right? So I was doing this when people were saying, what? You're doing what?"
Right.
You're doing, yes, I'm going to an energy healer and she's healing me. Oh, you stay away from those people. They're no good. So we've come a long way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I have a friend on the other side of the state. I'm in Florida and she's over in the other side. And I was having some just hip issues and everything. And she got out and she got her little tuning forks and virtually across the thing, she was like, oh, wow, you're L whatever, C whatever. I mean, she literally told me all
Yes.
of this stuff. And then my hip felt good for about 6 months. I was like, this is cool. And then I started having some problems again and actually had x rays. Everything that she had told me about my back was exactly right.
Wow. Yeah, it's powerful stuff, right? So it's energy, it's intuition, and we can get our bodies especially back in balance.
Absolutely. So, talk to the people listening about, let's say they know that they've got some stuck stuff and some, everybody does. We all have something that we have to work through. There's
Mhm.
nobody that completely came out of life unscathed. And it's just how deep we buried it and how many different instances there was. What would you suggest as first steps to what they might do or start to explore, read, whatever?
So, there's so many books on healing. I mean, well, read my book.
Yeah, I was going to say, bring up your book.
Yeah, first of all, read my book because it's called The Little Blue Room, Awakening the Soul to Love, Joy, Freedom, and Power. Because this is a book of a journey. This book's going to take you on a journey, and it's gonna you're gonna have numerous aha moments as you're reading it. And the book, through the journey, explains how you need to think, the perception that you need to have. You have to start opening the mind, right? You need to start seeing the broader picture of why things are happening, and what you need to do within yourself. And so, I mean, this book goes into deep inner child work. This book gets very, very intense. It goes into deep inner child work. It goes into self-love. It really goes into the heart, where we learn to love ourselves with our imperfections, with our perfections, right? With all of this, healing that inner child, reparenting yourself, giving that child the love that maybe you didn't quite get from mom or dad. You give it to that child. That's called reparenting. And that is where we become whole. So, there's all these different things. I mean, there's also in there the ancestral patterns. I was guided. I went to go see my sister. This was many, many years ago, shortly after my father died, and she and this her boyfriend were living in a motel, and they were horse people, so they would be on the track all day long. So I sat in the motel in Kentucky, like with the dog, for like 3 days, and I get this inspiration. Start writing down all the pros and cons of your family, of your mom, your dad, your grandparents. And I was like, what kind of a thing is that to do? But it came on so strong. And in the book, it's called The Sweet, the Sour, and the Salty. So you start writing down your hereditary patterns, okay? And at first you're like, well, okay, I'm a little stubborn like dad or mom, a little materialistic like dad or mom. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, shoot. I got it all. Maybe not 100%, but I got all these traits from mom, from dad, from grandpa, from grandma. And you start to look at them and you say, okay, I can work with this. I can work with me. I can become better. And you do. And you take one thing. You'll see if you read the book, you'll understand. This book is changing lives, I have to say, or at least that's what people are telling me. And the little blue room is a real room. This is where miracles happen. I still have this is where I do my energy work and my healings now, from in the little blue room. This is where miraculous healings have taken place. So this book will open you up. It will really help get you started. And then there's plenty of other books. You have to go on Amazon and read. There's, like you said, there's the Emotion Code. There's another book. Um, this was one of my early books that I read, from Sanaya Roman, who's no longer here, Personal Power Through Awareness.
Mm,
So it's all these, you have to start with the awareness.
right.
You start with the awareness, and then you take baby steps to try to heal yourself. You can even learn a tapping technique, right? Reiki. You take it one step at a time. And when you start tapping into that intuition, you're going to be led to exactly where you need to go, not where somebody else is going.
Amen. I love that. Do you do all of those things with people in your practice?
I do.
Because I
I
always,
do.
you can Google, you can YouTube tapping for this, tapping for that. But I always tell people, start with somebody that really is an expert that will work with you one on one on an individual thing, just to get you going and let you understand how it really works. And I love tapping. Like, I'm always
Yeah.
just tap it out. Like,
Well,
like
it works, and not every tapping sequence is beneficial for everybody. It just kind of depends on what's going on. So yes, I use tapping, I use Reiki, I use all kinds of different energy corrections, pulling out things, putting in things, moving things around, doing doing all kinds of things. And the truth really is, although I am a vessel for healings and at times miraculous healings. And when I say miraculous, it is like cysts and tumors gone. It is certain diseases that are considered incurable, like herpes, gone. And the truth is, I'm a vessel.
right.
You're going to heal yourself.
Yep.
Okay. You are actually the person who's healing yourself by allowing. And I mean, I have a client who we did miraculous healings in the last year and removed all of her trauma, and she got pregnant with the baby that she wanted. And it's a beautiful, beautiful story. But she and I tell her all the time, I'm like, you do a great job of healing yourself. I'm just holding the space for you. I'm just connected to all the woo-woo stuff, but you're healing yourself, and I'm just helping to facilitate that healing.
I think that's important too for people to understand that they are the ones that are doing it. So when you go to someone like you, go in with an open mind, but know that you have it in your body to heal yourself. It's
Right.
anything can be healed. I'm the same way. I've talked to so many people that have just like, yeah, they said I had this and I did this and this and this, and 6 months later I went back and it wasn't there. Yeah, I mean, and I'm like, it doesn't surprise me anymore. At first, I was like, no way, but now I've seen it too many times now, like you said, to discount it. You
Yeah.
can't.
Well, this is the future. All right.
Hmm.
This is the future. As the more we accept this, that this is real and possible, this is going to be more and more the future. I mean, years ago, I had a podcast. It was on Blog Talk Radio. So again, going back, and I interviewed several people who miraculously healed themselves of like stage 4 prostate cancer
Hmm.
and other things. They miraculously, and the awareness was not that great back then. It was just sort of just opening up. And this is going back into the maybe late 1990s. But you start reading about slowing down, paying attention, going inward, meditating, changing your life, get out of the rat race. You got to keep going. You need more. No, maybe you don't need more. Balance your life out, pay attention to the things that matter. Start praying, meditating, call in white light, call in healing light. Even if you don't know what the heck you're doing, call it in. It knows you and you
Hmm.
know it. Even if consciously you're like, well, how do I do that? Just start calling it in.
I use that as an example, and it's funny because when I do talks now, I'm always like, well, I want to come up with a new talk because I had a very interesting experience in January. I had a full blown stroke, and I was sitting on the curb completely paralyzed on my left side, and man, when I tell you I pulled in every bit of white light and positive energy I could, and even that, like when I was in there, the guy even said, wow, your blood pressure is 222 or something, like over 110, but your heart rate is 74.
Wow.
And I contribute that to me keeping my heart rate low. Like I
Abs-
should have been completely stressed out, but and
right.
even now, like they don't even know why I'm having these huge spikes. But my blood pressure will go up to 195 over 110. My heart rate stays at 66,
Mm-hmm.
672.
Yes.
And it's
Yeah.
always, I'm always like, okay, got this. And again, like I'm not a Reiki master. I'm not like not like that, but it doesn't matter if it's up there. The energy is there. It's around you. You just have to use it.
Just start, yes, just start using it. And most people know Archangel Michael. Most people know Archangel Raphael. Raphael is the healer, right? That's why my last name is Raphaela. So I'm the feminine healer. But start calling that in. Call in the white light of Christ if that serves you. Call in the violet light of Saint Germain. Call in the angels. I don't know, angels. I need the healing angel, the light of the healing angels. Call to it. Start connecting with it
Love it.
because the ability to do that now is much easier now because, as we say, the veil is thinning, the veil between heaven and earth, we'll call it, or the cosmos, where all of this higher energy lives, and the earth, the veil is getting thinner and thinner because of all the pioneers and the people who are doing this kind of work and opening up their consciousness and opening up their minds and knowing that they are part of this cosmos. We're part of this higher energy. So the veil is much thinner now and it's easier. Back in the day, it took some hard work. It
Yeah.
took some hard work to get there. We were denser. We're starting to become a little more light.
Yep. And I love it. I absolutely love it. So I could literally talk forever, but tell people if they want to reach out to you, like what services, how are you just you're a one-stop shop kind of thing, right? They just, you, they could just reach out, but tell them about what you do. Like,
So yeah. So I mean, I do just consider myself, I'm a master energy healer. I am also a channel. I'm a galactic channel. I channel the Pleiadians. I also channel the Star Mothers, and that's a light language that comes through. So I do one-on-one sessions. I do them in person. I also do them virtually like this. I do have clients that do not live local to me, and we either do it by phone or we have a video conference. And we the healings consist of some dialogue, okay? And it's more for the person to begin to connect the dots. The dialogue is connecting the dots of what's going on with them. And then I do the energy healing and I transmit energy and I might ask you to say some words. I might ask you to put your hand over your heart. I might, this is virtual. If you're
right,
in person, you're laying on the table and I'm running energy, and I may take your hand and place it over your heart. I may ask you to say something. I may do some brain balancing. I might have to do some body work and sort of dig into areas like back here behind the skull or run Reiki. It's a mix of whatever your soul tells me you need.
right.
And we can talk and people sometimes ask me questions or they'll say, "Oh my God, I just felt this pull. I just felt this heat. I felt chills coming down." Sometimes they cry. It's all part of the release and they ultimately feel lighter.
Love
And
it.
my work is all about helping you empower you.
Got
And
you.
I've been in private practice for 25 years.
Okay, so you've been doing this a while.
I've been
So
doing
what is
this
the
a
best?
long
Yeah,
time.
I'm going to put all of this stuff in the show notes, including the little blue room link to that book so people can grab that. But what is the best place to reach you?
The best, you can go right to my website, paulineraphaela.com, and you do have to log in, but it doesn't cost you anything. You just log into the website and you can contact me there. Send me a message. I will reply. Also on my website, I do have free meditations.
Okay,
I have a violet flame meditation. I upload discussions. I have a oneness peace healing. I have all kinds of free stuff on my website for my community.
perfect. So thank you so much. So before you leave, I'm not going to let you leave yet. If you had to give the listeners one piece of advice, one trick, something, what would you leave them with?
Uh, the first thing you have to have is awareness. Know that you are a magnificent being of light, human, here to experience a divine life. That's not so much of a trick. That is a consciousness. That is a mindset. Know that that is who you are. And from that place, you can ask yourself, now what do I need to do? Okay, what do I need to do to unlock this part of me? Read, certainly read. My book is an eye opener. Read other books that you're drawn to. Get out into nature. Balance your life, get off social media for a little bit, stop listening to the news so much, get into nature, smell the roses, smell the leaves that have newly fallen rain on them. Get it. That's what I would say. Those are first starts.
Perfect. I love it. Thank you so much, Pauline, for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, yes, it was absolutely a pleasure. And for everybody else out there listening, you heard it. Just get out and do it. Start becoming aware and know that you are that divine being. And we
Yes.
just got to get back to that divine being we were born before life happened and told us any differently because we've been in there the whole time. So we will talk to you soon, and you all have a blessed week. Bye bye.